it's me, April, and I'm here to share another art journal with you. I'm hoping to aim at least 10 journal spreads before this month ends, and I would like to share that with you too. So, in this art journal, I was inspired by Flora Poily. She's one of my favorite artists when it comes to intuitive painting. I'll link her website below, and I also shared her site from my creative resources. So, what's happening here was I was playing the song by Gary Vee, Take Me Out of the Dark. And I was just following along Flora Boyley's Together Apart video, where you get a pen or a marker and a sketchbook or a piece of paper, and then you go along with the song by just adding or just putting lines or marks on your paper. And you can close your eyes and just listen to the music while your hand is moving. If you have a canvas, a bigger paper, maybe you can put it on the wall and you can use a paintbrush or a marker, and you can move freely because you have more space to write on. But what I have here is just a small sketchbook, or my usual art journal sketchbook, and I just created this line while listening to the entire song. So after the song, I grabbed my distress inks, and I just wanted to create or add colors on this page. So I'm making marks using my distress inks. I wanted to make a minimal style, or with using few colors, but along the way I find it a bit lacking. So as you can see, I will keep on adding more layers and layers along the way. Here I'm also adding a collage, and this beautiful bird and floral illustration is by Wilna Furstenberg. She is one of my favorite artists too, and she, together with Flora Boily, inspired me so much when it comes to art journaling. Wilna Furstenberg, though, is more on the art journaling and scrapbooking. So I'll link her website down below. So if you wanna check it out and find inspiration, these two are my go-to people that really help me or encourage me to do art journaling. So I'm using Mod Podge to stick the collage on the journal, and I'm also adding a layer on top. So just like my previous two journals, I still have no idea what I'm doing here, except that I just prepared few materials that I'll be using, so I would have an idea what materials that I'd like to add on this spread. So I'm adding gesso, my ever trusty gesso, to lighten up the lines that I created previously, because I find it a bit chaotic and I wanted to add a coat, so I wanted to lighten up the lines that I've created. Now I wanted to add a paint, and the only paint that I have with me is gouache, and I saw this burnt amber, and I thought it would be nice up until I put it on the paper and find it really dark. But that's a funny thing with art journaling. You can create mistakes. You might not like what you've created at first, but don't be afraid to just add another layer on top of it. And just like what I've done here, as you can see, I've covered some of the pages with a piece of paper, a piece of craft paper that I found nearby my table, and I'm still not sure what I'm doing here. And to be honest, at this point I already find this journal spread a bit ugly, And then I realized, okay, let's use stencils because I want to try stencils. I thought I can use the distress ink with this, so it will just create a light mark. But the background was too light or too dark already, and I think I'm using a wrong ink pad. So I decided to use gouache paint instead, which is better, but it was really wet and I couldn't really understand what's happening with the stencils already, because you're supposed to use a sponge when you use stencil instead of the brush, but I don't have that right now, so I'm just using whatever is available with me at that moment. And I'm using gesso again to lighten up the burnt amber gouache that I used before, which is funny thing because it feels like I'm trying to cover up so many layers already, also with the craft paper. But again, it's okay to just cover and cover or put layer and layer on top of each other up until you come to a point that you are already happy with your spread. While I was doing this, I realized I am really rusty when it comes to art journaling, because I really find this at this point, I really find the spread really ugly and very chaotic, and I'm just trying my best to just cover it up and look for something that will make it look pretty. But then I realized this is the point of doing art journal, because I remember during the time that I was doing this, I was a bit worried. I feel anxious. The pandemic situation is getting into me again, and so that's also one thing that's bothering me. That's why I think while I was doing this, I have no idea what I'm doing, except that I just want to play with my materials. So here, since I couldn't understand what's happening with my stencil and the gouache paint, I added a gesso to create a white space, and it looks like I'm adding a white layer on it. Right. So for the past few days, I've been listening to Christian songs every morning, and it really helped me ease my mind and my heart. I went back to familiar songs that I knew when I was still young, and one of my favorites is from Gary Vee, Take Me Out of the Dark. And this song really speaks to me, especially this part of the lyrics, because at this point, there's really nothing we can do. I mean, the entire world is experiencing this, and there's no one to go to ask for help except for God. And right now, we just have to lift our burdens, lift our fears to Him, and just let Him do His part, or trust the process, if I may say. And this is pretty much the entire spread. And up until then, I wasn't really happy with what's going on, so I added a few more flower and more marks on the journal spread. And I decided to just let it go and let it be, because for now, this is all the time that I have. And the important thing is I just created something. But I hope, even though this one is a bit chaotic, you still find this inspiring. And I hope you are coping well with what's happening right now. But if you're not, please do find something that will help you easier or calm your heart at least. This is it for now, and I would really appreciate it if you'd click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more art journaling. So happy weekend! Bye!